I'm Marcus Richardson.
And I'm Nathan Hicken.
And we have just cracked the case on the Hardboiled Exhibit merely moments ago. Nathan, congratulations. You did wonderfully. Your monologues were incredible. You caught the vibe. You understood the assignment. So much fun.
That was a blast. Oh my goodness. Oh, such a twisted tale of intrigue. Oh, I love the fact that Bianca was in the background the whole time. Just hinted at, strings were there. It was all placed for me. Her photo was in my pocket. That was one of the first things I saw in this whole thing. I knew that would be important. I'm sad I forgot about it, but brilliant.
And you named your pet after her.
Yes. The fact that she was Miss Bunny, of course I would have a bunny to try to get over her, to try to move on past.
You named a bunny.
Could not be a coincidence. What kind of person names a bunny?
Yeah, it was so much fun to see you tease it out. It was difficult to make a mystery with a lot of different settings, but it also made for a really fun challenge of like, okay, the place he goes next will fundamentally change this story. This mystery, I changed stuff in between episodes. Claire wasn't going to die until you talked to her early on.
Wait, what? I really did kill Claire.
Well, and I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying that like I realized that it made sense because I was like, all right, the two women are going to escape at the train station. And then I was like, but one of them is the mastermind. And then I realized, what if there's a confrontation? And I realized, oh my gosh, that's exactly what happens. So after the second episode, she was dead. Anytime you went back, she would have been dead.
Oh my goodness. Oh, I love that that's dynamic and that raises the stakes and that like raises more questions. That was an insane moment for me. The amount of bodies that piled up in this, incredible.
It was noir. It had to be a little bit bloodier than previous cases.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love the feeling of just slowly threading the details all together into this bigger tapestry of what the heck was going on. That was so satisfying.
I mean, it was fun to watch because you did it in a very entertaining way. But man, yeah, so there was a lot of thought in between sessions, trying to figure out how to make it most directed and satisfying. But I really didn't actually have to do much work in making it satisfying because, you know, you're great at what you do. But yeah, there are some pieces that were kind of, you know, strewn by the wayside.
Yeah. What was passed over?
So Aurelius Whitlock, within the scenario, was investigating a case that you could have looked at. In fact, Rick Pulpwood, prior to you taking his spot, was looking at the same case.
Oh.
Yeah, it was something to do with what he was holding when you first went in.
The egg.
So both Rick and Aurelius Whitlock were trying to figure out the rotten egg case.
Yes.
And do you remember what he realized as you were talking to Grassman?
Wait, no, remind me.
He said, aftershave.
Aftershave. The miracle, Dr. Silk's miracle aftershave. I wondered if that ad was significant or not. Okay.
Everything's significant in my newspaper. So the rotten eggs, here's the thing. I was totally okay, none of this coming up. This was more just an Easter egg, if you will. Oh, and by the way, the reason there were all those eggs, purely for the fun of me trying to see how many eggs I could fit into a case that was fundamentally unrelated to eggs. It all started with hard-boiled. But anyway, so eggs were being used in this product, aftershave. They were buying overdue eggs, super cheap. It's really not that interesting of a case, but it's the reason that there was more than one character that had rashes on their faces.
Oh my gosh, that's right. You mentioned when Devin, I remember he had a rash on his face and a black eye. Ow.
The black eye was from the fight.
Yeah.
The rash was from his aftershave. Same thing with, I believe it was the bartender I also said had a skin rash around his
Yes.
mouth. So that was just kind of a, like in Consulting Detective, the board game, there are like kind of tangential things that are kind of just there to take you off the
Yeah.
kind of just lead you off the path. So that was one of those things where, like, if you decided that you wanted to call Benedict Farms, I would probably have dropped some details, but it was fundamentally unconnected from everything else. So kind of reasonable that you didn't go that route.
Dang.
Do you have any questions that still pop in mind?
I'm looking at my list of questions. I mean, I have questions about the Grass Man and how Aurelius got from newspaper runner to curator. But I assume we'll touch on those later.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
in that final stretch, you really put together the pieces, because like a lot of it, I was like, oh man, it's hard to explain like what happened that only the murderer knows. Like, what did she say in that car? But like you kind of
Yeah.
intuited pretty close to what I had imagined happen. So that was really cool to see that like you kind of logicked your way into a feasible story.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, did you have anything specific that she said to get Sam to pull over into the parking garage, or
Kind of a
the top of the back seat kind of thing, or
essentially, yeah, kind
Okay.
of a sensual tease.
okay,
Another reason that she was the +1 to Nick before she realized that she could, sorry, +1 to Sam before she
Sam.
realized that she could find where it was and call off the wedding was because she wasn't invited to the wedding. She wanted to be a +1 so she could make it there.
be there. Yeah.
So Sam was clean, pretty clean in all of this. His only things were he was a procrastinator, so he was doing the things that he needed to do for the wedding last minute. He also couldn't keep a secret. He was a little loose-lipped.
Yep.
But besides that,
Dang.
he was in the clear.
I definitely judged Sam wrong multiple times during this, but that's
But
okay.
That's totally fair, like often the dead man is tangled up in something. So yeah. Did you have any favorite characters or moments from it?
Oh, okay. Couple stick out. I loved the monologue off in my office with with Detective Hardscrabble, aka Jared. That was just so delightful, so unexpected.
I just enjoyed being Barton because I could like just be like, hey, I'm still here, but I'm just enjoying the show.
just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here.
I also love the vibes of Luca. I have listened to the episode where he appears, and the Godfather music-esque vibes that was in there. Perfect. Love that.
Found some Italian stock music, but it was too fast, so I time shifted it to make it slower.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. I was gonna say, by the way, the idea to have a kind of a vaudeville / cabaret, jazz piece, the idea to have a piece of music preceded the idea to include it as important information. I was more just excited to have a song in it, and then I was like, oh, I can use this.
Yes, I'd love, because that was like, that's something I found in like the first or second episode, right? That I listened to, and I think it was the first episode. Just delightful. No, that's like, I guess second, but super fun. I love that. And then having that come back into play in the ultimate episode where there was a secret code in there the whole time that I, did not strike anything but the Cloud 9 and then 1 for, oh my gosh. I love that. Love that. Love seeing clues that were there the whole time, but you don't know how to use them until later.
I gotta say that is the most satisfying to write as well, is like say something I'm like, this is foreshadowing, but he doesn't know yet. It's just a random thing I'm saying. The bunny is named Bunny. It's silly.
Yes. I really like finding a second body. I think that escalates tension so well, and it's also like, oh my gosh, why do they have to die? How does this connect to the first murder? And if I'm not careful, there's going to be another body because they've killed twice, and you know what? There was.
There was a third body. It's what I like to call the psych episode classic.
Yes, the
Partway
30-minute
through,
in.
dead body. Yeah, 30 minutes in. Yeah, I mean, I actually learned that from you. I feel like early on, if you listen to the early cases I wrote, they were not very dynamic. They were kind of like a static situation. They were like a painting on a wall, and you could examine it and you could go different places, but like things weren't fundamentally changing. But yours had more of that. I climbed a rock wall and I fell down and I broke my ankle or something. So I've really enjoyed kind of upping our storytelling in the mysteries. Not just the mystery for the sake of the puzzle, but how is the story unfolding with the other person as a character in it?
And I really liked that. I felt like I mattered in this world. Like my decisions mattered. Like how, like you said, like not only like who I was talking to and when. So Claire dying was a direct result of me talking to her when I did. But also, at the end with my monologues, like that came into play with capturing the person, which also I love the climax at a train station, and then she got shot in front of me. What?
That's another theme that I guess technically might not have happened, but there was an opportunity for Nick to catch a wind of what you were doing, and thus he could follow you there. So I did sort of shoehorn that in, but it's how it worked out.
I like that. Man. Oh, you mentioned you're going to, speaking of decisions that I made, you said you were going to talk about the playtest and how that was different.
If your story was, a detective story, his was a crime thriller, because Jared Langford, moments before we recorded that first episode, was helping me play test through this thing. Didn't even finish it because we had to start recording with you. But man, first thing he does when he goes to the car yard is he buys the Rolls Royce with the body still in the trunk. Doesn't tell Frank, drives off the lot in his new Rolls Royce. Extremely implicating. He goes to the hotel, meets Asher, tells Asher, yeah, I'm like a long lost cousin, like missed the wedding. And then he's like, hey, I need your help identifying something out here. Follow me into the parking garage. Asher cocks his gun because this dude is showing him the dead body of his brother's best friend. So it was like this intense thing. And then in the office of Luca Melanzano, there was a Mexican standoff between the two sons and the dad. They were all standing there yelling at each other, misunderstanding each other because he had just planted a bunch of misinformation, mostly just like improving. So I do have to say that like in the first episode, I was worried. I was like, oh, is this not as interesting as like that story? And I got over it quickly because, every story is going to be a little different.
Yeah.
And yours turned out to be, I would say, even more satisfying when it came to the conclusion.
That is wild. I think it would stresses me out too much to even think about lying to a mafia boss.
As it should. A little bit of credit where credit is due. Besides the fact that my beautiful, talented wife, Beth, who is sitting right beside me eating a Mexican popsicle, I lost my train of thought. Besides the fact that she sang the songs and did that intro with me, she also was fundamental in the ideation of kind of the core of this case, which is best man lets an important detail slip from his best man speech to the wrong person. Ooh. And it's the location of a necklace. So that was thanks to her. You can thank Jared. I brainstormed with him this case as well, and you can thank him for the villain being an old fling of your character.
Yes.
That was not there, and he said, I mean, it's noir. It's got to be like a femme fatale that's like been, there's got to be a history there. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. There has to be. And then he was like, what if he has a bunny because the person he dated was Bunny? And I was like, incredible. Absolutely. And he's like, yeah, because like a hard-boiled cop would have like a cute little bunny. I'm like, incredible. So
I love it. That was so perfect. Just again, enough in the background, but enough always there, always present. Ah, Bianca.
It was also very fun playing with the idea of a villain that you never see.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty different. For us, this is the first time that there's the bad guy is someone that you haven't talked to at all.
That you don't talk to until the climax when you know
exactly.
everything.
Which I think also kind of fits more into what I was going for in this case, which was trying to lean more into the letting your observations lead you places.
Mm-hmm.
More like a procedural than a, locked doors murder mystery. So.
And yeah, I felt like I truly was investigating this case. Like I could go anywhere I wanted to if I thought it had vital information.
Mm-hmm. I definitely did have to come up with some stuff on the spot. You might have been able to tell. I don't know, but
I honestly could not.
I enjoy this stuff.
Yeah.
I enjoy improvising characters. I don't know. It's just fun to riff with you. You have a really good. I think we have a good rapport when it comes to little monologues or dialogue.
It's great. Did you have a favorite moment or something you were most excited for me to discover?
The sound of you listening to Beth singing "The Egg on My Face" was delightful. I actually cut most of it, but it was like a good 5 minutes of just, which was incredible. So that was pretty great. Of course, I loved watching you and Jared verbally spar. I really loved the conclusion, though. I loved listening to you with a sense of urgency, putting together the final pieces, and me egging you on, so to speak.
No pun intended.
Pun very intended. Every pun intended. All the puns. But yeah, I really do think that you got it all. Like everything that was important in the paper, you now know. The flooding, the theft threat, Lolo's follies, the eggs, the aftershave.
Man, the curly shampoo in the hotel room.
Yep. The girl in your picture had curly hair from the beginning.
Oh my gosh. I love the newspaper, and like you said, how everything came into play.
It feels very much like using what's the phrase? Using every part of the buffalo. Like there's
I
used everything and the bone because I don't know. I think it's really fun when there's something where it's like, oh my gosh, every single thing matters. So which in a way makes it so everything is important, which kind of defeats the purpose of some things. I've realized also, just a side note, it's hard for me to say no to cool ideas that you have. Like, oh, the pipe burst from the gun shooting it. And I'm like, dang it, that'd be nice. That's not what I was imagining.
And that is totally okay. But on that with the newspaper, I liked how a lot of it, there was nothing like, oh my gosh, dead body right here, go here first. It was like, oh, the car had circled. Oh, there's flooding over here. That's kind of weird. But it wasn't until later that like, oh my gosh, his pants, of course. How could I forget the pants?
Incredible. Yeah. I thought it was delightful that you had realizations off mic. I thought that was very cool. I thought your monologues were masterclass. Just incredible. It was a good time. I don't know, maybe we'll do noir again sometime. I think it's just so tonally consistent and stable, like you know what you're doing when it's more or less when it's noir.
I definitely would not mind. This was a blast to play through.
Yeah, it was also fun researching stuff, listening to old-timey noir, some of them being Sam Spade.
Yeah.
I watched most of the Maltese Falcon, and I realized this isn't exactly the like corny noir I was looking for, like I was looking for more of the kind of monologue vibe. And then I realized that radio dramas were more what I was looking for, because in radio dramas, they have to monologue. They're the one telling the story. So
I noticed the Spade Street, and then the Maltese Avenue. Was there any other little details like that you sprinkled in?
Sam Sam Spade
Sam Marlowe.
is Sam Marlowe. Also, we have a listener named Sam, so double whammy.
Hey.
Marlowe, there's another detective thing where they have the last name Marlowe. I don't remember the first name, so fake fan. Okay. But anyway, so besides that, I think that most of the name references were listeners.
Yeah.
Special shout out to Lolo Bunny, who inspired both the name of the Follies and the character within them.
Oh my goodness. I love that.
But yeah, thank you so much to everyone else who has listened to and reviewed or commented on the show. If you heard your name in it, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were as despicable or not despicable as you wanted. It's rough out there.
The dirty underbelly of Stetropolis.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and Tetropolis, it's very hard to end up with a good character named after you. But it is our tribute to you wonderful people that are the reason that we're making this. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you guys. It's been a blast to see you interacting with us, and yeah, so it's been a lot of fun.
Well, Nathan, any last questions before we sign off?
Last questions.
I thought I would have more to say, but I feel like in the last episode you got a lot of the missing pieces, so it feels like it was very, very completed in most senses. I'm
just excited to see where the Grassman shows up again, and see him watching from the sidelines. I'm very intrigued to this plot line.
Heck yeah. So. Do you have a name for your next exhibit?
I do. The next exhibit will be the Betrayal Exhibit.
Yeah. I'm so excited. Okay, well, I think that'll do it. Thank you, Detective Rick Pulpwood, for your incredible deducting.
Anytime. It's been a pleasure.
Well, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.